Good evening, happy Eid al-Fitr celebration, and thanks for joining us on the news. I am Jumoke Michaels. President Bola Tinubu has been scheduled to declare open the National Summit on Justice, organized by the Federal Ministry of Justice to address critical challenges plaguing the nation's justice sector. Attorney General of the Federation, AGF, and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi-San, made this public in Abuja on Thursday, April 11. Fagbemi said the summit, with the theme Repositioning the Justice System, Constitutional, Statutory, and Operational Reforms for Access and Efficiency, is intended to enable the much-needed reforms that would make justice more accessible to all Nigerians. A former Minister of Science and Technology, Ogbonnaya Onu, is dead. He was 72. The Ebonyi State Governor, Francis Nweforo, his Imo State counterpart, Hope Uzodinma, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, confirmed his death in separate statements on Thursday. Ogbonnaya died in the Federal Capital Territory, Uzodinma said. Nweforo said they received with rude shock the news of the death of the former governor of Old Abia State and an illustrious son of our state, His Excellency Dr. Ogbonna Onu. The Lagos State government says it will demolish all buildings that does not conform to regulatory standards around the site of the Dosumu Market fire on Lagos Island. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stated this when he paid an assessment visit to the site, with fire still burning for the fourth day, affecting 14 buildings. The governor said initial reports showed that the fire was caused by carelessness and the refusal of the people to allow rescue agencies to commence work immediately. He said all state agencies that had anything to do with building regulations had been mandated to report to Lagos Island markets for integrity tests on buildings, while an audit of the Dosumuma fire incident will be conducted before the market would reopen. The governor said findings had shown that traders placed generators on rooftops and top floors of structures, while they also had other combustible materials inside the buildings. Sanwo-Olu said all residential buildings turned into markets and others found unfit for habitation would be demolished.
People put generators on top of roof, on third floors of buildings, on fourth floors of buildings, and we've said that this is not acceptable. We'll come really hard on structures, on properties that will not conform with our rules. We will bring them down. We will bring them down. It's a very unfortunate incident, very condemnable, extremely unexpected. The amount and the quantum of damage that I've seen here, which is still even going on. Buildings right down there are still going to go down.
Don't go. If anybody comes to you that they want to collect money and give you any approval, they are lying. All approval in this area is suspended now, and nobody will be allowed to start reconstruction until the necessary investigations are all completed. And once again, for those people that still have their generators suspended, they are once again at their own interest advised to bring them down, because the enforcement team will be here immediately from today to ensure that all generators that are put on elevated platform are brought down. Let's cooperate with officials of physical planning and building control. What they are there to ensure, to enforce, is for our own safety. So once again, I appeal to fellow Lagosians, please, let's cooperate with the government to ensure that we prevent this kind of ugly incidents again.
Muslim faithful converged on the Alasatu Muri International in Lagos to celebrate this year's Eid al-Fitr, which marked the end of the holy month of Ramadan. In their supplication, they offered prayers to Almighty Allah for forgiveness of sins, while thanking Him for giving them the strength during the Ramadan period. Leading the prayers, Sheikh Sharafuddin Muhammadu Bashiru called on Muslim faithful to replicate the lessons of the Ramadan in their lives, while calling for peace and national cohesion. He implored Nigerians to continue to promote unity, love, oneness, and peaceful coexistence irrespective of their religion, ethnic, or political beliefs. The cleric equally urged Muslims to pray for the nation's leaders to remain focused in the discharge of their duties for the overall interest of Nigerians.
Try to be always glorify Almighty Allah. Engage yourself in glorification. Thank Almighty Allah wherever you are. Appreciate Almighty Allah. May He Almighty Allah accept our prayer and accept it as an act of ibadah. Allahumma arna al-haqqa haqqa warzuqna ittiba'ahu. Allahumma arna al-batila batilan warzuqna ijtinaba'ahu wafiqna tuhibbu wa tarda ya rabbal alamin.
In the meantime, the Makkah Salam praying ground in Ojokoro area of Lagos played host to a multitude of Muslim worshippers who offered prayers to mark the end of the 30 days of the Ramadan period. Leading the prayers, the chief imam, Sheikh Ramadan Jibril, said Ramadan is very significant to Muslims across the world as one of the 5 pillars of Islam, which teaches abstinence from worldly pleasures, steadfastness in prayers, and total submission to the will of Allah in accordance with the Quranic injunctions. He reminded Nigerians of the importance of respecting the faiths and beliefs of all citizens and enjoined all Muslim faithful and Nigerians in general to use the occasion of the celebration for sober reflection and pray for peace, unity, and progress of the nation. Sheikh Jibril urged Muslims as well as other religious denominations in the country to continue to offer prayers for continued peace and stability in Nigeria, adding that all hands must be on deck to address the growing challenge of insecurity and other burning issues in the nation. The cleric enjoined Muslims to continue on the path of spirituality, peaceful coexistence, and to remain tolerant of other religious denominations in the state, saying that Lagos was noted for religious harmony.
And it teaches the Muslims to be ideal in eating, ideal in talking, ideal in behavior, ideal in sleeping, ideal in observing your salat at the right time, ideal in qiyamul layl, ideal in dua. So the whole idea behind the essence of Ramadan is to purify us, reset us, that this is what Allah expects you to be like, an annual reset. So Allah is saying reset to Ramadan, and we pray to Allah that we're able to continue with Ramadan after Ramadan.
In a related development, a cleric has reminded Muslim faithful that each celebration is a unique feast to mark the end of a month-long spiritual renewal after 30 days of fasting, prayers, and other spiritual activities. Dr. Abdul Hamid Ibrahim stated this in Lagos on Wednesday during his Eid al-Fitr sermon at the Makkah's Agege praying ground, where hundreds of faithful converged to offer supplication to Almighty Allah. He urged Muslim brothers and sisters to continue to emulate the good virtues inherent in Ramadan, such as helping the poor and the vulnerable in the society, offering gratitude to Allah, showing compassion and generosity to one another, among other good deeds that guide your faith. He explained that the grace given to Muslims during the fasting period, which culminates in this year's Eid al-Fitr, is a renewal of the need to constantly show gratitude to Almighty Allah for His provision, love, and protection. In the spirit of Eid celebration, the cleric emphasized the significance of the holy month and the values it represents, and that faithfuls must not forget the message of the month itself, which is the month's message of giving, love, abstinence, and unity.
Ramadan is gone, but Islam is not gone. So whatever we did during Ramadan, let us continue with it, and even if possible, let us be more active in our ibadat. The fact that Ramadan is gone does not mean that we should go back to our previous bad ways. And Ramadan has proven to us that we can wake up for Fajr. For those of us that are usually lazy, that we can fast the Sunnah fast, that we can actually give sadaqah to the needy, and actually follow all the teachings of Islam if we put our minds to it.
In Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, Muslim faithful joined others the world over at the Lantoro praying ground to observe the mandatory 2 Rakat prayers, marking the end of the 30-day fasting and the holy month of Ramadan. The event was attended by the former Nigeria ambassador to the United Kingdom, Sarafa Ishola, the representative of the Ogun State Governor, Gani Hamzat, among other distinguished residents. Delivering his sermon at the occasion, the chief imam of Egbaland, Bamigbola Saadala, asked Muslims to shun all forms of vices that could bring disrepute to the religion. The state governor, Dapo Abiodun, represented by the State Commissioner for Local Government and Chieftaincy Affairs, Gani Hamzat, seized the occasion to appeal to Nigerians to continue to have firm belief in the leadership of the country and socio-economic development of the country.
Do we realize the fact that Ramadan teaches us so many things? First of all, we must believe that during Ramadan, you continue to pray, you continue to supplicate for Allah's intervention in any kind of problem. And that is what I will enjoin our brothers to continue to do, because we believe strongly this religious country, so as I can say, and I believe that within the last 1 month, in this month of spiritual renewal, I believe Almighty Allah will continue to answer our prayers. We must be patient. There is nothing that can be resolved within a very just 1 year when our father, the president, will assume office. Yes, I agree, things have been so hard, but let us continue to exercise patience. And I believe you can realize for the fact that we continue to talk about dollar, and you will realize that within the last 2 weeks or thereabout, Naira is now stabilizing. The Naira has continued to appreciate, and I believe very strongly in the next 2 or 3 months or thereabout, Naira to dollar will come down to less than 1,000, and by the special grace of God, things socio-economic will continue to improve.
To Osun State, where Muslim faithful joined their counterparts across the world to observe Eid prayer at the Osogbo Central Eid. The 2 Rakat prayers was led by the Grand Imam of Osun State, who doubles as the Chief Imam of Osogbo, Sheikh Musa Animashao. In his sermon, Sheikh Animashao enjoined Muslims to carry the lessons of Ramadan into their daily activities, saying Ramadan has gone, but the lessons must continue to resonate in every Muslim's life. Meanwhile, the state governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, who observed the prayer at his hometown, Ede, charged the people of the state to continue praying for the government. The Ashiwaju Musulumi of Yoruba land, Edo and Delta states, Tunde Badmus, as well as the National Secretary of the All Progressives Congress, Ajibola Bashiru, enjoined Nigerians to keep supporting President Bola Tinubu, saying his efforts will soon pay off for the country.
Well, I think they should do what the Quran has said. They should imbibe what our Prophet Muhammad has told us to practice and do. They should emulate it. Not that after the Ramadan, they should go back to bad things that they are doing. They should have a fear of Allah.
We want to urge Nigerians to continue to pray for our leader and our president, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has been on the right path, trying to put Nigeria back in the path of productivity, probity, and prosperity. So we pray that this spirit of Ramadan will be used to invoke Almighty Allah to continue to support him and his team to make success of his efforts in reforming Nigeria economy for the welfare of our people. And we also pray that the security incidences will definitely subside.
So the Muslim community generally, we thank God that you can see that our religion is a peaceful religion. Our religion is a peaceful religion, and everywhere you go to, there is no problem. There's no problem. Muslim is a Muslim. So, and for us, let us continue to maintain that peaceful nature. Let's support the Almighty Allah, enjoy us to respect whoever is in the authority.
Still on Eid al-Fitr celebration, the chief imam of Ipaja community, Sheikh Mohammed Lawal Abdul Karim, has charged the Muslim Ummah on continuous peaceful coexistence, care for each other, and provision for the less privileged in their immediate communities. The cleric gave the advice at the Eid al-Fitr prayer ground for the Ipaja area of Lagos State. He said Ramadan, the month of mercy and blessing, comes with teachings of godliness, urging faithful to keep such godly acts as practiced in the holy month, as such helps in keeping humanity from the community level to the global level. Sheikh Abdul Karim further implored all to continue in the ways of Almighty Allah as described by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, just as he prayed for Nigeria to overcome its challenges. A Muslim faithful who's also an environmentalist, Engineer Yusuf Mujolagbe, said Ramadan comes with self-discipline and conservation of resources and sharing despite religious and ethnic barriers, and to do good to Mother Nature by conserving the environment has been thought in the holy month of Ramadan.
You should all know that the leaders among you, the rich among you, and the poor among you, who loves Almighty Allah, should continue with the good deeds, so you have the rewards, and you shall all go back to Him with your good deeds on the day of resurrection.
Take home that I have for everyone is to extend this principle of discipline that we have all learned during Ramadan, this principle of unity, this principle of actually giving out in the month of Ramadan. You see a lot of people giving out gifts in the month of Ramadan. So let's continue to extend that not only amongst the Muslim, but across all religions, all faiths, all tribes, and all ethnicity.
In another development, Eid al-Fitr celebrations in Agbele Kale, Agbado Keodo, local council development area of Lagos State. The weather was a bit harsh, with 35 degrees Celsius in Lagos. The Eid prayer, led by the Chief Missioner of the Yato Haq Islamic Society of Nigeria, Sheikh Zakaria Muhammad, speaking on the theme of closeness to Almighty Allah and truthfulness to one another. He admonished the Muslim faithfuls to extend the good deeds of love and sharing as practiced in the holy month of Ramadan to other months. As such, keep the spirit of godliness on the whole of humanity. Speaking on the current hardship faced by Nigerians, Sheikh Zakaria said it's the same in other parts of the world, urging all on closeness to Almighty Allah and being truthful to one another.
The good deeds we practice during the fasting period, the love for one another, sharing with those with lower income, all for the mercy of Almighty Allah. Based on the hardship faced by Nigerians, it's the same in the whole world as well. All we need is closeness to Almighty Allah and be truthful to one another.
To remind us of good character. Good character should be with us all the time, so we should keep going with the good character we are doing in the Ramadan.
You're still watching the news. We'll take a break to bring you stories from the foreign scene. Please stay with us. Welcome back. Israel was on alert Thursday after its arch-foe, Iran, threatened reprisals over a strike in Syria this month that killed 2 Iranian generals as the war against Hamas ground on in Gaza. Days after Israel strengthened its air defenses and paused leave for combat units, the United States also warned of the risk of another attack by Iran or its allied groups at a time Mid-East tensions have soared. Iran is threatening to launch a significant attack on Israel, U.S. President Joe Biden said Wednesday, pledging ironclad support for its top regional ally despite diplomatic tensions over Israel's military conduct in Gaza. Israel was widely blamed for an April 1 attack that destroyed Iran's consulate building in Damascus and killed 7 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, including 2 generals. Ukraine inaugurated an embassy in Ivory Coast on Thursday, a day after opening an embassy in the Democratic Republic of Congo, as Kyiv seeks a greater presence in Africa to counter Moscow's influence. A brilliant new page is being written in the new history of relations between Ukraine, Africa, and Ukraine, Ivory Coast, Deputy Foreign Minister Maxime Soubi said, according to a translation of his Ukrainian speech into French. The new embassies were the result of the instructions of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to spread Ukraine's diplomatic presence in Africa, he added. Soup opened Kyiv's embassy in Kinshasa on Wednesday amid plans to open several more representations in Africa to bolster support. Up next is sport news. Star Neymar last year for building a lake at his mansion on the outskirts of Rio de Janeiro without an environmental license. The ruling, dated Monday and obtained by AFP Wednesday from Judge Adriana Ramos de Melo, cited a report from State Environmental Authority, INEA, asserting that the project did not in fact require special environmental permits. As the applied fines were in the millions of dollars, continuing to demand payment will inflict substantial, disproportionate, and even illegal prejudice against the Al Hilal SFC player, the judge said. The town council in Mangaratiba issued 4 fines for a total of 16 million riyals, or 3.3 million euros, for environmental violations in the construction of an artificial lake at the player's mansion in the tourist town about 130 kilometers outside of Rio. And that's the end of the news on MITV. Thank you for staying with us. Good night. I am Jumoke Michaels.